Hey, welcome back, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
We're all here.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Has it been a couple weeks?
I think so. People have been in and out here and there, but it's good. It feels like home when everybody's here. I'm not going to cry.
Yeah.
I might.
It really does. It really does. Sorry. Anyway, we've got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about today. Let's jump in here. Oh, I misplaced my notes. How could I do such a thing?
Oh, no.
Oh.
Great. All right. Well, let's start by going back in time to last week. So we had a couple fun live streams. I'm going to call it fun because it was a working session that I did. I don't know if it was fun or not. I had a good time. But on Wednesday, I was working on a nested artboard project, and I'm going to go ahead and share that. Just really quick, kind of share what I was doing. Give me a second here. That's not it. You see some doors, not like the doors, but all right. So this was what I was working on Wednesday of last week. So it's just a little mini game. There's this little door that's got a few states, and that's its own artboard. And then over on this main scene, I just dropped in 6 copies of that. And there's a little star that you can, whoa, easy there, fella. There's a little star. That you try and find.
Yay.
And so the cool thing about that is, I think it's cool, is you can change the position of the star based on this little number input. I've just got positions keyed. And so if we play it again, I think it's going to be here. Yep. Okay. I know. So that was a Wednesday working session from last week. I think I can stop sharing here now. And then the following day, we had an awesome workshop on layers. JC, do you have anything you want to talk about? You were kind of leading that one and had some really insightful info.
Yeah, I want to let me show the file. Okay. So last week we talked about the power of layers in Rive. Show the how is these layers in Rive, how you can use it, where is the layers, how you can use it, and how works the layers. And we show different examples for this. I think one important part of the workshop is to explain when you can use layers, in what situations. And I group all these situations in 3 important parts. For example, when you want to play different actions at the same time, but these actions are independent. This action don't affect to the other action, for example. This is a different example. Other situation is when you want to create a loop. Other situation is when you create a blend state. When you use a blend state in the loader, normally we have this problem that when you add in the input the middle 50%, the animation is not in the middle. For that, you need to create a layer to reset the position. And different examples. And this is the last situation, that when you want to play a different action at the same time, but this action mixed together to create something different. All this is in the video in YouTube. You can check the video, and you can download this file from the community and follow the video with these files and check each example. Yep.
This file's on the front page of the community, so it's not too hard to find.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you have in the file all the examples in the. Yeah.
That's a that's the holy grail of files right there. There's a lot of awesome examples in that Rive file. Awesome. Thank you, JC. So that brings us up to talking about the future, which is this week. So we've got another working session tomorrow. Robert,
I'm putting on my future glasses as we gaze into the future. So yeah, tomorrow I will be doing another Wednesday night live stream. I know for everyone who usually shows up to this one, it's really late for y'all. Eventually they're going to get switched to the morning. But this week is going to be my last week doing an evening one, and then it'll go morning. So I've been working on a larger project for this because we'll be doing a lot of these Wednesday streams, and I want something that we can sort of work on a little bit every single week. So it's one continuous project. And what I'm making, I've got this template set up for a Dungeons and Dragons themed website. So there's lots of cool little, I didn't check. Oh, we are there. Okay, cool.
I got
Woo,
you.
thank you. Yeah, so there's lots of different interactions to create here. So we've got like a scrolling animation. We've got lots of little buttons, some characters. There's some stuff that I haven't even thought about adding yet. And I have kind of an idea for like an Easter egg thing that unlocks a secret page to your website. And for this, I'm going to do everything. So from the sketch, importing it into Rive, doing all the artwork, rig, animation, and then implementation. Some stuff's going to use code that's been supplied by Zach. Thank you, Zach. And other stuff is just going to be the integration that we have with Framer that you can use with listeners and all that other stuff. So we'll be working on this little header up here on Wednesday. So if you can't make it to that live stream, then it will be on YouTube later and you can check it out.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's going to be such a cool project to follow.
I'm excited.
It better be cool.
I'm
just kidding.
trying.
It's going to be cool. It's going to be awesome. Let's see. Then Thursday. So this is, again, remember, we're into our new fall lineup where we're doing streams every week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So this Thursday, we'll have another workshop where we're going to go over remixing and kind of how to look at files you might want to remix, poke around them, and kind of see how they're set up and how you might go about actually remixing that file and then sharing it with the community if you wanted. So that's what we're planning on Thursday. One quick thing, because I don't think I'll get to speak about this before October 1st. And I said something about this on Twitter. This is not official Rive thing at all, other than that I'm a Rive Creator Relations person. I'm going to do it. I think Robert might do it.
Yep.
So Inktober, which I don't know, this kind of a big social media thing that basically for all 31 days, is there 31 days in October?
Yes.
There's a prompt for each day and you do like an ink drawing, or you can there's like a pixel art one. There's all sorts of different versions of it. So I thought it'd be fun to do a Rivetober. So every day of the month of October, the idea is to do for me, it's just going to be probably a small little one color animation of like a bat or whatever the prompt happens to be. I think the first one's gargoyle.
Yeah, that one's going to be cool.
That should be a fun one. So that's the plan. So we'll see. Anybody who wants to join, just keep your eye on the Twitter, and we'll see how long we can keep it going. It's always like, yeah, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna get every day, and then after day 5, it's like, I forgot. It's a lot of work. So we'll see.
My problem with Inktober is I always burn myself out in the first like 5 days because I don't start my sketching process early. So it's like, as soon as I get off work, I'm sketching until like 9 and then penning until like 12. And so it's like midnight or 1 o'clock before I go to bed. And I'm just like, dude, I'm burnt out. But yeah, this one will be quick and try and stay quick on these. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah,
I'm excited. It's the Thunderdome.
Is Inktober hosted by or ideated by some company or organization?
I think it was just some dude on Instagram, Twitter.
It's Jake something or other. He's an illustrator I think he's done some comic book stuff, but he started it and it just kind of blew up into, now it's essentially its own brand. And so
That's cool.
it's yeah, it is really neat. It's just it feels like a self-imposed pressure though, and maybe that's a good thing, of just like, you have to do it or you feel bad. This is what ends up happening with me. But it's like, I don't have to do this. I'm a grown-up. Like, I don't have to do it. So
That's fair.
But
I mean, the reason I bring that up is because similarly, there is Hacktober going on, and I'm actually unsure if this is like a just general broad dev thing, but the reason I found this out years ago, it was started by a company called DigitalOcean. I think they do like hosting software, but it used to be the thing where like, oh, you commit to some open source project, you get it accepted, you push code out in the month of October, and then you'll get if you prove it to this company, like, hey, I did something, you can get a free shirt. And
Yeah.
I used to do that, but it would be fun to get back into that.
Yeah, maybe when we do that and we share them on the community, we do them like, hashtag Rivetober or something, so that they're all in one place. And if anybody else wants to do it, I mean, the more the merrier. We'd love to have you. The water is nice.
all right, awesome. Let's see, what do we have next? Oh yeah, we've got a couple release things or updates that we've talked about in the past couple weeks, but haven't really shared much about it. So I'm going to attempt to show off our new Gif exporter. I believe we tweeted about this when it came out. So I'm going to demo it really quick, and just to kind of show you what it used to look like, this project used to look like, and what it looks like now. And I'm going to share my whole desktop, which is going to be fun. Let's see how this goes.
I want to see if your desktop looks as bad as
Screen
mine.
2. I've played a trick on everybody. All right. Oh, okay. So yeah, let's jump over here. This is going to be hard because I can't quite see. All right. So this window here will be old. So this is this animation rendered out with our old Gif exporter, and we were having a lot of issues with color reproduction and things like that. And then that was the biggest issue I think that we heard, was just like the colors are way off. So we can kind of do a side-by-side comparison. That purple's pretty noticeable, at least on my screen. Mm-hmm. I'll share maybe some images out on Twitter after this, so it's a little bit easier to see. But let's go ahead and render out another. I need to go to animate mode, and we'll just do this idle animation. Let's render out a GIF with the new exporter. So here under format, if you've never rendered out a GIF, this is a good little demo to go through. You can adjust the frame rate. I don't believe it goes up. I think 50 is the max. I don't think you get 60, but let's render that out and see what it looks like. Yeah, we were all pretty amazed. Like, I think we talked about this last week, like how awesome the new GIF export is. So let's download this. And let's see if it'll let me. Oh, this is what I was worried about.
Oops.
Well, that's not how I wanted to preview it, but it'll do the job of just showing off the color reproduction. So that's like I told you guys, this is what I was worried about.
Okay,
let's just bring these both over. 10, but close.
Yeah.
So no, I don't have 10 monitors. So let me just arrange these in a way that's kind of easy to see. Sorry, this is not as well planned out as it should have been, but you can kind of see. So this is the new GIF renderer. Colors are, I mean, spot on. Our MP4 is rendered out really nicely, so it's nice that our GIFs or GIFs, however you pronounce it, look the way that they should. So yeah, definitely. If you were, had tried to render something out as a GIF in the past, go back, and give it a try and be amazed at the huge improvement.
Yeah, the difference is so big. Yeah, I checked this week and yeah, it's amazing now. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can render out long GIFs too. I rendered out the Halloween GIF and that old Star Wars animation that I did like 2 years ago or something like that. And those are like 12 to, I don't know, 30-second animations, and those rendered out just fine, which was not something that I was able to do in the past, but now it works.
Yeah, it's GIF all the things for sure. All right, and then the other thing we talked about was the new community share links. Voice kind of went up weird there. Community share links are it's an easier way to share and embed things from the community. So Laura's going to go ahead and demo that.
Okay, if I'm lucky this time. So, okay. By the way, those GIFs are much more accurate now. I tried myself too. So I'm gonna try to share this and make it work in Notion. Okay, guys, are you seeing it? This is the pumpkin raider, and I'm gonna share it here. Copy the embed link and cross your fingers. It's working.
Yay!
Woo!
Nice.
Look at that. Dun, dun. Okay, so that was
Perfect.
easy. Oh, sorry. I can stop sharing.
Oh,
right?
here. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Oh no, we lost Zach. He's back.
Yeah, it's back.
All right. Yeah, it worked. That's great. There's some hiccups when we were trying to do this before, but I think that was just some caching or refresh issues. I don't know. I'm not.
The demo
I'm not
gods were
smart
not
like
nice to
that.
us.
Yes.
So yeah, you can go, spam your Notion docs with awesome Rive interactions and impress all of your fellow Notion users and coworkers and things like that. But you can use that in Framer and every other place that you could use the share links that you generated from the editor. They're just easier to grab now from the community. So yeah, I think that's what we had on the agenda. Does anybody have did anything come up as we were chatting that you wanted to talk about, or?
No questions right now.
Yeah.
I did want to mention one thing. I know we've got a lot of familiar folks in the chat right now. So this isn't necessarily for y'all, but maybe some of the new folks that have been joining. We've noticed some new folks pop up here and there. If you are looking for the sort of our curated playlist for beginners on YouTube, that will be up today. I will have a curated playlist that you can go through and look at to find what we think are the best videos to sort of get you started with the Rive basics as far as animation, interactivity, and all that. And obviously, we're going to continue to put out new stuff, and we'll add more videos to that playlist as we go. But I understand there's a lot more content hitting the YouTube these days. So we'll try and get better about, curating playlists and ensuring that things are a little bit easier to find.
Perfect. Yeah. There's this was kind of being talked about before. When I started using Rive, it's been like a year ago now. There was a handful, and kind of shared those with Robert, of tutorials that definitely helped. And I had some background in animation and things like that, so I wasn't coming to it as a beginner in terms of the animation side, but just some general, like how to use constraints, basic navigation of the UI. Although it's very straightforward, there are some things that are a little different. So just anything helps in terms of watching those tutorials and videos. So it'll be awesome to have everything in one spot to just go through and get yourself up to speed on Rive.
Yep.
Well, does anybody have any we don't have any questions yet. Does anybody have any projects that they've been working on? Any things they want to show off?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, working differently now. But one thing I can show you is the car demo if you want.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So is anybody don't see that? Let me show. One moment. So only explain a few things about this.
Anybody start watching Andor,
Not yet.
No,
new Star Wars show?
I am excited about it.
No.
I fell asleep twice trying to get through the first episode, but I don't think that has anything to do with the show and just me being super tired at night. So
Okay, so this is a demo about how you can create a rig for a game for cars like Outroom, the old room or something like this. This was only a challenge to know how you can create this in Rive. So I'm going to show you the estimation first. And this is the idea. Here you can start the car, and then you can, when you press, the car is running and brake, and when you press and move, you can change the direction with the car. And the thing is, the car is an PNG I did and use a mesh to create a deformation. Okay, so here you can see the bonds, and you can see how I weight the different vertex with the different bonds to create this deformation. So, oops, this is not here. So here, control, what is the control of the car? This is the wheels. This is the weight of this, to move this, exactly. And oops. And here, let me show you. Oops. It's because it's the clipping here. Okay. This is the effect I use for the light when the car is working. It's only a shape that I clipping in different shapes I put on the car. You can see here. Where is the shape? Here. Yeah, okay. So I use this as is the part that I cut with the effect. So this way. Oops. When the car is working, you can see the reflection in the roof and the glass. Yeah.
I love the smoke and the tire tracks. Those are so good.
Yeah, the smoke is very simple because it's only ellipses.
Mm-hmm.
You can see different ellipses. What he did was the smoke spray here. Basically, what he did was create the animation of one of them, and then I duplicate the animation different times and change the position of the keys. So in that way, I start one ellipse, and then the other, and then the other, and then the other, and go one and the other and the other. Very fast. For the marks, I use simple drawing in the iPad with this texture to use as wheel track.
Yeah, it's an awesome combination of vector and raster.
Yeah, this is something interesting that you can mix the raster and vector and create something different. Yeah. Here. This is the wheel, exactly. The car. No, I can't find it. This is the wheel here. Yeah, I can find the other part. But yeah, this is basically the idea. This file is in the community, and in the community you have a link of this PSD file, so you can take this image and change something of the car and replace, and that's it. You have different car. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Can we take a look at the dynamic island you made?
Oh
you
yeah,
guys
that's a
were
good one
making,
too.
Michael
This
and
is
JC?
more.
Those are so cool right now.
Yeah. Because this is in the other part. One moment.
In the meantime, while we're bringing those up, we did have a quick question about how to create a blur effect.
Yeah, this one's come up a few times in the last couple of weeks. So I think we've talked about, well, we talked about shadows, right? And this would be a simple blur effect. I don't think you could, there's not really an easy way to do it like a traditional like motion blur in Rive right now. Like you could do like a smear, I guess, right? Like if you were doing like an action, like an animation smear, you could do that. Otherwise, you'd have to export and do a blur inside of, you know, Photoshop or Figma. I think we kind of talked about this when it comes to shadows, like drop shadows. There's the idea, we did talk about duplicating and adjusting the shape and opacity too. You could get away with doing like steps essentially. So, you know, you'd have your shape and then you duplicate it, drop the opacity a bit, offset it, and you could animate those kind of offset with each other, and it would give you a little bit of a motion blur. But in terms of just like an effect, like we don't have those effects in yet, so you'd have to go outside and import it as a PNG.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
That sounds great. Yep.
Okay, I have the file. Yeah, but yeah, the dynamic island. Yeah, this is the rig of the cat. I have this control where I can move the hand inside the dynamic island. I can move the hand like this. I have this bone. This is the elbow, and here I can move the hand, fingers like this, and the nails. This. And
the nails rig cracks me up. Sorry, I saw that on the video you shared. I'm like,
this is the best. This is the best part of the. All this work is nothing. This is the most important. Click, click. Yeah, and then I can move the dynamic island like this. Different option here. Okay, then in the steam machine. Okay, I have the different animations. Move in left and right, the center, and I have one island. And here in the steam machine, the important thing is I use 3 inputs. One is the position is right, one is bottom, one is in the left. And the listener I use for this, I use these 3, stop it. These 3 boxes, okay? This is for the right, for the left, and for this part. So I use the option, the pointer enter, when the mouse or the cursor go into this box, fire this animation, and when it's out, go back to the idle. So when I hit play, if I go here, this box, the hand is going to this direction. And this is the idea. I can move here, move here, and go here. And always the hand try to take the mouse. So this was the idea. You can see here all the animation. One thing you can do is create more animation, more different animation, and create more box, so you have more possibilities for the hand. But yeah, this was the idea. One thing interesting is that between this animation to the center to the right, for example, I use saturation, and this way, these two animation, when jump from this to another to the other, mix the animation, so the hand move from one position to another. And this is good because I don't need animate this. It's only the transition of the animation for one position to another. And that's it. This is the secret.
Yeah. I love this too because it's like, at first when I was looking at this, I was like, man, how do we get that in Dynamic Island? But it's you don't really need to. It kind of just like can lay on top of the Dynamic Island and make it kind of give that effect that like, oh, we're tapping into this functionality. But yeah, it's just kind of hiding on top of it. And
because you actually worked on setting that up this weekend, didn't you?
Yes, and I spent a while because I was like, okay, how do you use Dynamic Island? This thing is like super new and it's like all in beta. And then Guido gave some advice. I was like, oh yeah, we could just lay this thing on top of it, and that totally makes sense. Like you don't really need to tap into whatever the Dynamic Island does. I didn't really pay attention to the iOS announcement, but yeah, this is really cool. I've seen some cool examples. I think Michael, you had one as well that did pretty well on Twitter.
Just coming back to that, so is that just with our iOS, like our runtime, that makes it available? Okay.
Yeah. And so there was an article I found, and I'm forgetting the name of it, but basically it laid out, like this is how much you have to offset the top by to get to the Dynamic Island like section, and then here's like the width of it for, I think it was iPhone 14 Pro. And then because you have these fixed constraints, it's a lot easier to work with and code in like, okay, well, just place the Rive canvas thing on top of here, which is the Dynamic Island cap that JC has. And then because it was a transparent artboard, I think, it kind of just lays on top of everything else. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sweet. Cool. Well, looks like we have one kind of comment. Let me make sure here. Please consider making the percentage scaling resettable to 100% based on the current size of something.
So we don't have that necessarily in the UI, but what you can do is if you've changed the scale of something like a shape or really anything, if you just create a new group, that group will be at scale 100.
Yeah.
And then you can, the math becomes a lot easier from there.
Yep.
Don't see any other questions coming in. Oh, you got something, Robert?
Well, no, not a question, but JC, you brought up something that I actually, it's funny because I'm learning new stuff all the time. Using Rive, different things that work and don't work. You mentioned copying and pasting objects, and you get the animation.
Yeah.
I discovered that last week when I was working on some effects and stuff like that. And then we actually had a question come in via the the help portal or whatever, where all the help requests come through. And someone was asking about copying and pasting things from one artboard to another. And I made a little video for them, but I want, if we got time, maybe just run through some of the things that you can copy and paste and get animation keys, or how you move things from one artboard to another. Let's go into. Let me bring this up. So, here we go. Share screen. I'll just run through this really quick, and then we can get on. I see we get some more questions. Okay, so there's a lot of things that you can actually copy and paste from one artboard to another or within the same artboard. So what JC had mentioned was the fact that if you copy something that's in an artboard, like if I select this ellipse and I'm in animate mode and I have two different animations, a Y motion and an X motion. And I know this is really basic, but just to get the point across, I can take this ellipse, copy it, and paste it. You'll see that I have another ellipse that has the same animation keys. So I could extend the timeline out a little bit and then offset these from one another. So then we have two balls doing the same thing, or two ellipses, and then I could do it again and offset that.
Exactly.
So you can use that to your advantage. That's one cool thing that you can do with it. Another thing is you can actually copy these things across different artboards, which was what the person who was asking about wanted to move things from one artboard to another. So I can actually move those keys to another artboard. Now these are offset because I copied the wrong one, but you can do that with all sorts of stuff. Like I don't know if everybody remembers old Football Time demo from about a year ago. But let's say I want to move a character from one artboard to the next. I can copy the whole root group. Another reason that you want to use a root group. Copy all that and paste it onto another artboard. Well, I didn't select an animation, but let's say we've got the jump animation. So I'll copy that with the jump animation selected, paste it over here, and now that jump animation is over here. Now, the one limitation to this that I would that I want to point out is if we want to move another animation, like let's say the run animation, and this one's not going to be set up perfect because it's a looping thing. If I do the exact same thing, I'm going to get another copy of my character. So you don't want that. So if you want to move an animation from one character to another character on a separate artboard, you have to do something like this. Okay. So all that's basically set up. All right, so I've got two really simple animations. I've got a walk animation and a jump animation. What you need to do is go through bone by bone and say, okay, this is my hip bone. So I'm copying the keys from this artboard, going to this artboard, and pasting it. And so now I have the hips, and then you just have to copy and paste each one of the legs onto there. And that's how you can move things from one artboard to the other. One thing to note is you can see that the characters are starting in different locations, and that's because this artboard is not in the same position within the file. The artboard is also not the same size. So those are some things that you'll want to consider when you're copying things over like that. And then the last thing is when you get into Vertex Animations. This one's a little weird because we can't copy the custom shape, let's say this one, even though these have the same amount of vertices, and then paste them over to this artboard. We actually have to go in to this layer where it shows each vertex and then copy these keys and paste them over here. But before we can even do that, we actually have to go in and set position keys so that we can actually select the specific vertex to copy. So if we want to copy this first one, we have to grab those, copy, go back over here, select this one, paste, and then you have that movement. So those are all the ways that you can sort of move things around from one artboard to another.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, the key here is all this you need to do in animate mode. This is the key. So you can copy and paste because if you do in edit mode, you can duplicate or paste the object, but not the keys. So always remember animate mode to do that.
Yeah, that path or the vertex animation copying was one that I learned that, yeah, like it seems like once you drill down far enough, it requires those to be keyed. But things like the top level, like
bones,
you know,
groups, even shapes, as long as it's a position, rotation, scale key, something like that, you can copy those straight over. But yeah, those vertex keys are a little different.
All right.
Cool. Well, looks like we got a few more questions rolling in here. So this next one is it possible to incorporate Rive animations into Figma prototypes?
Not directly, but GIFs, I believe, are supported in Figma right now. So you could use the new Gif Exporter and bring those into Figma. But obviously you lose the interactive part of what's so great about, the native Rive files. So yeah, right now you could use it cosmetically, but in terms of it functioning like it would elsewhere, not right now. I don't know. I believe there's been talks of trying to get integration with Figma. I think that's just something that would be nice, obviously nice to have. And there's been some discussion and maybe a little work started here and there, but nothing concrete right now.
Yep.
Got it. Next one. There's an issue on implementation in React Native. The library conflicting with React Native video library, so we can't use them together on iOS. Cool. I just saw on the repo you logged an issue, so that's great. With these sort of things, just so we kind of get a better understanding of what specifically isn't working. If you have like a project that you pushed out on like a personal repo that we can try and reproduce on our end, that would be super helpful, just so we can make sure we're aligned on kind of the same issue and stuff. But yeah, we can always take a look at what's going on there. Sweet. And then I think our last question here is, so for UX, can you guys show a bit how you use the translation constraint with world local inputs? And then the second part to this is, it's not hard to use, but I'm curious the way you use offset objects, etc.
Yeah, this one I am trying to find the workshop that we did on that. Let's see. Nope, that's that interactivity one. I'll find that and link it. We've got a couple videos on it. We did it in the intro to rigging. We talked a little bit about translation constraints and how you can do that stuff. But the offsetting gets a little weird, especially when you, like you said, start messing with those world and local toggles. The important thing to remember about world and local and the way that Rive works is everything in Rive is additive. So, okay, we're going to get a little... Do we want to try and explain this?
Get your chalkboard out.
Okay, hang on.
Get your whiteboard.
This is going to be weird.
This part is complicated, yeah.
Yeah, I actually have...
Easy.
I have a demo that I set up for this. Actually, for that. Oh, okay. I found it. All right. Here we go. Cool. All right, let me share this.
No, it's good.
Yeah. It's totally fine. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the things that you need to understand to know how to work with. Well, first we'll just talk about translation constraints. A translation constraint will allow your the constraint owner. So in this case, it's our little spaceship, and the constraint target, which is our target here. That maybe you would set this up if you were building a game that would follow this around, and our ship would move around with it. Now, in this case, I have the ship actually offset. I'm going to turn off all of this stuff right now. Copy, copy. Okay. So this is what a typical translation constraint looks like. You've got your target and your owner, which is our ship, and it copies the exact transform, the position property of the target. So the owner, which is our ship, is copying the target, which is our, I'll call this the target group. So its translation or its position property is going to be the exact same as the target Now, the way that that is calculated when you start looking at the world spaces and the local spaces is the artboard. That is your world space, and it's always going to be measured from the origin. In this case, the origin's in the top left, which is why when we look at the target, we're at 250, and if we go to 250 by 250, we're in the middle of the artboard because it's a 500 by 500 artboard. Exactly. So 250, 250, we're in the center. Now, when you start nesting things, so let's just do something really quick. I'm going to create a group. All right, so we can see what its position value is in the world space, and I'll create another group. So now the parent group exists in world space. The child exists in local space. So locally, that nested transform space, it's at 0, 0 because now it's measuring its distance away from the parent. So this transform space is in local, this transform space is in world. Now how that translates to transform constraints, you have your source space. So that's which space is it taking its coordinates from? In this case, it's anyways, it's taking it from the world space. We could change it to local, and now it's taking its source from local, but in this case, this group is in world space, so world and local are the same thing. If we change it, now it's actually okay. So now it's taking it from 0, 0 here. So that's your source space, and your destination space is where that's applied to. That's the constraint owner's space, and so when you start mixing these things together, you're just going to get some weird values. This is like as best as I can explain it. So what you really want to do is keep everything on either world or local to avoid some of that stuff. I think, JC, didn't you and I sit down together and mess around with things until we figured out exactly how that worked? I want to say we did that a while back. Where like if I move something like, I don't know, this, I move this over. Let's try and get weird with it, like local. A second to do something weird. No. I think in this case it's not going to do anything weird. Anyways, you can get into this stuff and make it a little strange. But the offset, that's how you can actually move your owner away from it. Let's see. Oops, offset. There we go. And now I can move the ship away. And so now it's just going to copy the translation property of this and apply it to here. Maybe not the best explanation of how world and local sort of play into it. But it's really weird. I don't typically try and mess with that stuff. I just keep it world, world, or local, local.
Yeah, I normally don't use because it's more complex and depends what you want to do. If you need, because you want to create something complex, you need to do, but always it's more complex because you need to create more groups, more, but yeah, it's something complex. But one thing I do to avoid this sometimes is because if I have two objects and I try to use the transform constraint in this from the other, when I apply this object go to the position of this. If I don't want that, what I did is group this object and then add the constraint in workspace. And because the object is inside to the group, what it do is group this object and change the position of the group to the same position of this, and leave the object here. So the object is here, but the position is in the other point. So I apply the effect, and the position of the group of this is here, but the object is here. This is one trick I do to avoid all this.
Yeah.
So if works, it's perfect because I only need one group, not create all these, and that's it. Yeah.
I hope that helped. That was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Cool. All right. Our next question. When are we going to see a first release? Then are we going to have a desktop version other than cloud-based? Thank you. I don't know how to take that.
Robert
Yeah.
left.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not sure on first release. I believe there's a certain number of there's some features that we want to hit in order for that to be considered, I guess, out of, because we're currently in beta, right? So, but in terms of the desktop version, it's being worked on. It's definitely being worked on, and it will come out when it's done. I think that's about as good an answer as we can give. We want it. Everybody wants it. So it's not like we're sitting on it. It's just there's still work to be done before we can release it and have it be what we want it to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
I was actually so scared of that question, I had to roll away for a minute. I'm just kidding.
All right. So this one, I'm from Iran. Because of the sanctions, I cannot buy a pro account. Who can help me? If you go to our website, rive.app, there will be a contact form that you can find, and you can get in touch with our customer support. And we're definitely more than happy to help accommodate in this situation.
Yep.
Perfect.
Cool.
Well,
And I think that's it.
awesome. All right. I think this is a good stream. This was fun. Thanks everybody for showing up. It's always great to see new people. It's always great to see people who are here.
Yeah.
It seems like every stream they show up. So I really appreciate that. So for this week, tomorrow night, Robert will be doing a working session.
Yep.
And then on Thursday at 8 Pacific time, we'll be doing the remixing workshop. So we will see you. And Robert, yours is at 6:30 Central?
7:30 Central.
7:30 Central? Okay.
5:30.
So that's 5:30.
5:30 Pacific.
West Coast time.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody. We'll see you later.
Okay.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.